Alright, so I'm back, and today we're going to take a look at the Warhammer Age of Sigmar Son of Behemat Mega-Gargant model. So I'm going to keep this kind of short because these videos have not proved to be very popular. So, don't need to spend too much time on it. But I do still want to do this because there are a few things I want to show off here real quick. So here's the packaging, typical Age of Sigmar fashion. It is a nice heavy-duty box. And there's your Kraken Eater option that you can build. And then you flip to the back, you also get your War Stomper and Gatebreaker. This is probably the thing that I've looked forward to the most this year. We'll take a look at the frame real quick. It doesn't have much to show off because they've cut it to a way where it's hard to see certain things. But it does come on a 130 millimeter base, circle base. So in case, because I know I was curious on it for a long time, what size base they were on, so I can make sure that I rebase other things appropriately. So it's a 130 millimeter round base, and then the frame itself is 4 frames of plastic, which is the most I've ever seen on a model for one single model. Four large frames. So this is the smaller frame. So you see, he's got some logs here and here. This is the Kraken Eater's kind of like belly guard kind of thing. You got a tentacle there, and there's part of Gatebreaker's mace, if you want to call it that. So yeah. So there's some things there. Then we've got this frame. So now this frame has, you can see it's got like the butt, some of the feet here, the legs, obviously, the lower back, the belly, upper chest. So this is gonna form the bulk of your actual giant himself. And then we got this frame, which is, like I said, I mean, there's so here's the back half of Gatebreaker's hand. I know this is part of a belt piece. This is probably, I'm not sure. I haven't built another one yet. I've only built one so far. So you got bits of arms and stuff like that. So yeah, there's that, and then the final one. So yeah, they really cut it to the point where it, if you were to hand this to me and say, okay, build a giant, I'd be like, what? I don't think I'd be able to do this without instructions. So yeah, those are the frames. Like I said, it's not like other frames where I could sit there and be like, okay, here's the left arms, here's the right arms. So some other things I want to show off while we're here. So here's the instruction booklet, just so that you guys can see it. So you can see here's your 3 different options for the kit. And what they did here, the lighter gray is the main body of the giant, so that those are they carry throughout the whole thing. All the blue pieces are unique to Kraken Eater. All the green pieces are for War Stomper. And then the Gatebreaker, you can see he's got his own pink pieces, but he recycles 3 green pieces from War Stomper and 1 blue piece from the Kraken Eater. So they kind of make the use out of the most out of the arms and the feet. But I do think they did a really good job to make these guys look different enough. I mean, right here. I mean, these 3 look different enough that if they're standing next to each other, you might notice that, okay, yeah, they're probably built from the same kit, but if you put them on the battlefield in different areas, yeah, I think you're going to be just fine. I haven't gotten the book yet. I'm looking forward to that once I do, but So here's the War Scroll card. So I wanted to show these off because there's something in here that wasn't as clear as it should have been in the description. I was like, what's in the War Scroll cards? And it's kind of like, I was about to say something political, but I won't do that. It's just kind of a surprise after you purchase it. So you get the tokens, which is nice. And it comes in, of course, the traditional little sleeve there. It's funny how some of them, like the packs, are so thick that they actually have to put the tokens on the outside and then saran wrap the whole thing. But then when they're not as many, they kind of stuff them in there, which means you kind of always have to have these cards in here to make it fit right. Just an observation. All right, so you have 4 War Scroll cards. One's for Man Crushers. I'm not going to go through the actual War Scroll because I did that with the Bulgors, and yeah, I didn't really see much positive feedback from that. So, but yeah, here's the Man Crushers for the War Scroll. These are all free downloads on Games Workshop anyway. So, so you get one for those guys, and these are your battle line in this army. So important. Then you get War Stomper. And yeah, so he's 2 full pages of stats. These are your heroes and your generals. Kraken Eater. And then Gatebreaker. So you have your 3 War Scroll cards for the models. But then there's something else in here that I actually haven't seen anybody actually talk about in any reviews that I've seen. Is you have War Scroll cards, sort of, for named Mega-Gargants in here for quick reference. So this is for the Gatebreaker Mercenary rules, Big Drog Fort Kika. So here's all his actual special rules that make him a mercenary for death armies or destruction, which I think is really cool. I mean, I knew that there was going to be something like this in the book, but I didn't know that they were going to be in the cards. So I thought that was really cool to include that. So you can take this plus your other War Scroll and be like, okay, this is going to go in my Night Haunt army. And you can just pop them in the Night Haunt army. Good to go. So you got the one-eyed Gronic War Stomper Mercenary for your Chaos and also Destruction, because it can go in all the Destruction. So he goes into Chaos. And Bundo Whalebiter Kraken Eater, and he's for Order and Destruction. So again, I think that's really cool that they included that in there, so that you can make these guys named characters for the mercenary companies and add them into any army. Like I said, I knew that was going to be the case. I just didn't know that they were going to have the War Scroll cards for it. So I actually ended up ordering 2 War Scroll cards because I'm one of those people that, like, if this guy's going to be in my Chaos army, I want the War Scroll card in the Chaos army that he's going to go into and not have to go grab the Sons of Behemat War Scroll cards. Alright, and then real quick before we get into the giant himself, I just wanted to show off. There's the Mega-Gargant box set. So now these are, I believe, 120 US. Which is interesting because a couple of years ago they had a I can't remember what they called them, but they had a giant 2-pack and it was like 70. So it's kind of interesting that it actually went up. I was kind of hoping that they would do this as the start collecting, and I have it about $100 because so you can save a little bit of money. Because I remember when these giants were 45, or maybe they were 40 when they first started. But anyway, so yeah, it's just 2 kits, just your standard giant kits, or ale guzzlers, if you will. So you got Man Crusher, Ale Guzzler Gargants, and then Chaos Gargants. So I'm kind of curious. I mean, I have some chaos giants, so I'm putting them in my son's army anyway, because why not? Although I will point out real quick, it's kind of funny that they have a seam in the photo on the giant. That's kind of funny. So yeah, you get your build options. And, this is a kit that you don't need instructions for. It's pretty self-explanatory. So you got your, front and back, lower torso. Here's your legs. There's your arms. There's some feet. There's some accessories. There's the base for the old Age of fantasy battles. So you'd put them on that base, which was kind of cool. I always liked it that when they came with their own bases. I kind of wish they would, because like some of the older models that had bases, they altered it so that it's just a round base that would glue onto a round base. So I kind of wish they would have altered this so that it would just fit on the oval base that they're on. But hey, whatever. And then from here you've got your your hands. Here's your hoofed feet, your heads. There's the cow, a couple weapons, and opposite. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Not a difficult kit to put together. So it's like that would be one that it's like I don't need instructions for, but the Mega-Gargant one I would. And so I went ahead and assembled the Kraken Eater Mega-Gargant so that we can take a look at him. So there he is, and here he is with I guess this would be decent size comparison, I guess. There he is with a Rotgut Troggoth, so you see the size difference there. So yeah, he towers over that. And, of course, he's much bigger than a regular human. You can see him, a regular human hanging off his little ship thing. In case you're wondering how big he is to a regular human. And then here's a good one. Here he is with a Night Goblin. Let me zoom in on that so you can see they're all base coated, but because I haven't had a chance to. So there he is with a goblin. So if you're wondering how big they are compared to the goblins, they are pretty big, which is really cool that they have that rule where certain level troops they could just walk over. And also I have him here. Here he is with a brute, which is a good size comparison because a lot of like Stormcast are about that size. So just about up to like mid shin, I'd say. Yeah. So he's pretty big. And here he is with a regular Gargant. So he's about twice as tall. Yeah. Pretty big. Yeah, I love this kit. I mean, at $200, I think it's a little pricey, but also not. I mean, it kind of depends on what you're talking about. It's like I'm building 2,500 point list. I already had 4 regular giants, and then so I bought one of the 2-packs. And I bought 3 of the big guys. So cost-wise, like new cost-wise to build this army, because I already had the other 4 sitting in the box. They were sitting on the shelf so long I had to wash them off because they had so much dust on them. Because I base coated them, but I never painted them. So all in all, I spent, let's see, here's $700 for a 2,500 point army list. That's pretty good if you think it in those terms. It's like my brute fist that I built $50 for every 5 brutes, and I had 40 brutes in there. So let's see here. That's that's $400 for just the infantry in that list. Add in another $100-something for Gordrak, plus the shamans, the wizards, the mega. Yeah, I'd say I spent about $1,000 on that list, and that's one of the easier ones to build because they're almost like elite troops. The Archeon list I built, which is just Varangard. I have 15 Varangard. So that's what is that? $500 just for the infantry on that list, plus Archeon, so that's $660 or $670, whatever he is, plus so about $700 for that. So it's not an unreasonable amount to spend. I mean, if you're a goblin or if you're a Beast of Chaos player, ooh man, you're spending a ton of money on getting that stuff and getting the old resin kits and stuff. But anyway, back on topic. So yeah, there's I think it's well worth it because these models are incredible. This thing, it took a while to put together. I mean, it was a good couple hours of just continuously assembling the guy, and I thought he was well worth it. I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Some frustration too. Some things are like, how does this go? But the fact that he went together so smoothly, I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm so looking forward to playing with these guys. And the fact that I have a 2,500 point list that only has 9 guys in it is a lot of fun. And now, for all you Games Workshop like fanatics that only look at Games Workshop products or whatever, I'll just say my rating on this is I'd say 9 out of 10. The whole release of probably about a 9 out of 10 for everything. Like I said, I think these guys could go a little cheaper because they are such an old mold, and it would entice people to buy more of them. Especially people like me who already had 4. So it's like, I'll buy 2 more of them. Or I bought 2 more of them to finish up the list. But, when I'm ready to, really go into my Gloomspite Gits army with my Ale Guzzlers, or when I'm ready to, build my Beast of Chaos and throw in my Mega-Gargant in there, I'll probably just recycle one from this list. Whereas typically I would actually buy a separate copy just to put in there so that I can do the bases completely different. So if they were cheaper, I would definitely go that route. $90, $100, something like that. I think that would have been more fair, but whatever. It is what it is. But anyway, so for all you Games Workshop fans out there that don't want to look at anything else other than Games Workshop, I would say turn off the camera now. But so now I'm going to talk about the Mantic Giant. So I haven't seen too many good comparisons in between the two, and of course he doesn't have a base because I'm in the process of rebasing them. Now that I know the size of the base, if you can see where this is going. So there he is with the Mantic Giant, and yeah, they're about the same size and height. So he's not on a base right now, but they are almost. He's actually still a little bit taller. But yeah, $40, $200. I think everyone has their own decisions to make on this. I personally, I know you can't go play in like a Games Workshop store with a Mantic Giant. You can't. But maybe your local friendly. How do they phrase that? I can't remember now. But your local friendly store or home games. I always play home games, so it doesn't matter. My brother's always cool with it, with stand-ins. So it's like if for example, I was using these guys as stand-ins until I had these guys ready to go. And yeah, they're about the same size. It's kind of funny. But the big difference is bulk. He's got a ton more bulk than he does. There ain't no question. Like, if these guys were to get in a fight, he's winning. Sculpt wise, he's winning. Everything other than cost, I would give it to him. Yes, he's a little bit taller, but he's also kind of hunched over with the way his legs and stuff are. He's not standing straight up. So if he were to stand straight up, I think he'd be the same size, if not a little bit taller. So I mean, if I were to compare them just model to model, Games Workshop all day long. If I compare them, cost wise, then it has to go to Mantic. So, I personally wouldn't fault anybody for using Mantic. And now Mantic, the thing about Mantic, what I will say, is that the kit has 2 different arms for each side and 2 different heads, as well as a fur piece that goes over the shoulders. So right from the regular kit, you have 2 completely different options. There's a chaos option, which I have all the way to the other end of the room, so I'm not going to look at him. But then there's the Frost Giant option as well. So this is the same kit, but it has a resin upgrade kit to it. So it's like you have 4 different options. I think the chaos one and this guy are $50, $60 for all the resin parts on it, which is fine with me. It's a good cost. So what I am doing, like this guy is going to be my Mega-Gargant that goes into a Death Army. And then the Chaos one and the Night Stalker one, that's going to be the one that I put in the Chaos Army. And then these guys are going to be, depending on how the rules end up, they're going to be either my Mega-Gargants for destruction or bone grinders. Because, that's a $200 resin kit that's really old and really dated looking, and these guys aren't. So, and rule-wise, they're actually not much tougher than these guys, if they are at all. Because they're 400 points now, which is 10 points more than these guys. And their rules and stuff just aren't the same. So anyway, they just don't seem uber powerful in comparison. So that's where I'm probably gonna end them up as, depending on how the rules end up. Because if they lose the Gloomspite Gets keyword and they can only be taken as mercenary, that might make me change my thoughts. But we'll see how that ends up later on. So yeah, all in all, I think this is a straight win. For me, I highly recommend that. If you're on a budget, I would forgive these. I do like the aesthetics of these guys because they look more like just a big human. With a little bit of a pointy head. Whereas these guys have that the distinctive Games Workshop style, like he's only got 3 fingers. He's got kind of a weird, kind of different looking head. Yeah, like they're different species. They're not human. They're not just a big human. They're a whole different species. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling now. But I highly recommend these guys, and I think they're definitely worth picking up. At least one, regardless of the army you play, because why not? You can throw it into any army now. Which, will take up all your mercenary / ally points. But that's okay with me, because you get one of these guys who can just step over little guys and take objectives, or one of them that can kick the objective to the other side of the field, which is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Oh, I love it. I think the rules are amazing. I think the models are amazing. I highly recommend them. The Mantic ones are great. Don't get me wrong. But if you can get them on these little bases, I wouldn't even fault you if you used it as a regular giant. or Gargant. That's just me. So I would not fault you at all for using these guys, however it is you wish to use them, because they're $40. Find a home for them. Hell, I might use them for Gargants now that I'm thinking about it, if I can get them on the base. But anyway, all right, rambling. All right, cool. Recommend it. That's it.